yours?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yo, what's crack-a-lacking, gentlemen?
Hey, what's happening, man? Thanks for having me on your show.
No, brother, thank you for coming, man. We are honored to have the bodacious Cadillac Cowboy.
Hey, how do you know I drive a Cadillac?
In that picture, man. I'm a car guy, so like I do just by looking at the emblem, I was like, man, it's like, hey, speaking of, where are you from, Jeff?
I am from Northwest New Jersey.
We knew it.
Garden State, the part that's actually regarded as the Garden. You go down to Newark, it's a whole different freaking story, man. It's nothing garden down there.
we knew, but you live in Denver now, though, correct?
No, I'm Jersey boy, born and raised.
I'm in Jersey. Hunter said something about being in Denver. I don't know.
That's what he said. I mean, come on, man. You know.
Hey.
Nothing mile high.
Sometimes you mess up.
Dude. So anyway, let's go and let's start as we usually do. Jeff, we'll start with you. How was your day, brother?
My day was bodacious. How about that?
Bodacious.
No, it was a good week, man. You know, just a typical logistics week, you know, things that just happen. Just got to be prepared for. How about you guys, man? How were your weeks? Was it productive?
Mine was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hunter.
Oh, yeah. It was good. Like you said, man, it was another week in logistics. Waking up with chaos every day, but that's what we do. But yeah, Wednesday met with some customers, met some people at the Selectus conference here in Nashville.
Nice.
You know, conference crashed, man. Best $600 I ever spent. Just went to the after parties.
Hey, I'll tell you what, this is the conference season from here on out, man. For the next couple of months, there's like back to back to back. If you want to go to a conference or an event every single week, you can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Evening, Brian. Nice to have you with us, brother. Sorry. Evening, Brian. Nice to have you with us, man. We appreciate you doing this. So, yeah. My week was pretty good. I mean, not as productive as I wanted it to be, but that's because I had a bunch of appointments for myself this week and for my son, so I was in and out of the office. But yeah, man, just speaking of conventions, I'm following up on a lot of these people or all these people that I met at the few conventions that I went to in beginning of August and end of August. So, just still working them, even though you meet people face to face and everything sounds good. You know how it is. They're skittish. You got to string them along a little bit. Hold their hand. Rub their hand, or give them the feelies. So.
Hey man, you know what? You may be going to the wrong events, my friends. Because I mean, if you're going to go to an event, one that's coming up October 11th through the 13th is the Broker Carrier Summit in Tampa, Florida. I'll be down there. I'm a speaker. We have a great agenda. We have, some really good speakers that are going to be down there, and the sponsors are out of this world. It's going to be such a great event. I mean, if you miss it, it's too bad. So but that's where collaboration is going to happen, where you can network and you can build some new relationships and network with carriers, whole different things.
I'll say this, Jeff. I mean, I go to conventions. These are my first two, but the ones I went to are for industries that I currently move freight for. Like,
well, that's good.
I will say that actually, I mean, I'll say it was my boss, Kyle. Like, he tells me, he said, what's the point of going to a convention with other people that do the same fucking thing that you do? And he's like, man, go to the ones where like your customers are at. So I did. I went to a furniture convention, and I went to a nursery convention. And so I'm still working them. I mean, it's like I said, it's it's still just like when you make calls, man. Like even though you talk face to face, they get a better feel for you. But you're still just some random individual that's coming up to them and saying, "Hey, I want to help you move your freight." So, but it's going good. I've already done a couple of those for a few of them.
Nice.
One of them is a mattress company, and I've actually already bought a mattress from them at wholesale price, dude. I got a freaking a really expensive mattress for like a quarter of what it sells in stores. So,
see, now you're getting pumped.
Yes, yeah. And again, hey, that's something my boss Kyle taught me, man. He's like, part of service to a customer. He said, if you can bring a buyer to them that's going to buy their goods, or someone that can help them in another area, he's like, man, that adds value to you. He's like, because you're not just working them from one angle, you're helping their operation from multiple perspectives, and that makes you a valuable person. Drew, you're right.
Something, Rob, though. You mentioned that you said Kyle, the owner, was wondering why you're going to events that have the same like people that do the same things as you. That's a great thing to do. And here's my perspective on that, right? What it does, it gives you the opportunity to listen to what other people are offering, and then it gives you a better idea of how to differentiate yourself from them to be better, because you're learning things that they don't know and vice versa. And that's how you build that value, and then whether or not you want to stay in that niche, that vertical, and continue moving forward. If you have that strong ability and that confidence level that the niche that you're working in, it's great to go there, because you have nothing to fear except your own fear, because you can be your own worst enemy, but not believing in yourself. So those are the things you do.
I can agree. I can agree with you on that, Jeff. Just right. I mean, my biggest networking tool for other people in my sector of the industry is LinkedIn. But as someone that's trying to grow their book of business, that's my focus. And I also say that I've already got a really good network, like Hunter. If I run across international stuff, I throw it to Hunter. The other guy on our show, he does OD stuff, so I throw that to him. I've got a good network right now. It's just about building my book of business. But either way, off topic, my week was good. It was productive in the sense that I did good. I almost broke my record today for the most profit I've ever made on a load. Almost. Dude, it's so close, man. If actually I would have broke it, I'm just going to drop this, because one of our big things on this show is about fraud. I would have broke my profit margin. I would have made $2,000 on a load. But we literally booked it and then dug into them a little more because our system was backed up. And when we dug into them, we realized we had internal messages saying, hey, this person is definitely a double broker. And we immediately canceled the load. So, just goes to show, man, we have an amazing team over here, but either way, I still made good profit margin on it. And as I always say, I didn't screw over any carrier. I ask you, what do you need to run it? And if I can pay you that, I'm gonna pay you that. And they just so happened to give me a rate that really did well for me. So
there you go. But you know what? If you want to raise your profits, it's service before profits. If you service the hell out of your customers, you don't have to worry about those profits. That will come. But you got to ingrain yourself into their operations and learn their business, like the back of your hand, so that any kind of questions that come up, you can answer it appropriately and get them on your side. The more confidence that you put in them and instill in them, the high likelihood they're going to reach out to you and ask you to do more things for them.
Yeah, no, I honestly, like I was telling you earlier, I have a relatively small book of business compared to most people, man. I'm another cue that I take from my boss, even though he's got a large book, is it's better to or I would say better, but it can be really good to have a smaller book of business, but be their single source provider. You know what I mean? And that's most of what my customers are. This guy today, he's a pharmaceutical company, and the dude and I just built a relationship, man. And I stole him from Echo Global, and he literally just calls me, dude. And he's like, hey, what's up, dick face? And I'm like, I'm serious. And he's like, hey,
relationship. What do you call him back?
Oh, worse than that. He's a Yankee too. He's actually from Lions, New York. That's where he's from. But anyway, he called me. He's like, hey, I'm about to shoot you an email. He's like, it's ready to go now, or it's ready to go this time. I'll put all the information in. He's like, just pick it up. Let me know what the rate is. And he's one of those guys that, like, on every load, I could probably make $600, $700, $800 profit, because he doesn't care. His stuff it's over the counter pharmaceutical. So he's in the mindset, like, I don't give a shit. As long as it's picked up, I can call you and I know where the truck is. It's a good carrier. He's like, that's all I need to know. But I don't take advantage of him, because he does give me all of his stuff except his LTL. And but no, you're right, man. You know, that's how I make most of my profits. Small book of business, but I take care of a majority of their freight, man. And you know, those are relationships that I like. So,
well, I'll tell you another thing, you know, because I believe in working smarter, not harder.
yeah.
So when you get a customer like that, you know they have vendors either downstream or upstream. And if you service the hell out of your customer, you can get a good reference, a good recommendation to go after their vendors, because if you're doing a great job for their vendor, it just puts a big, huge feather in their hat and a thank you saying, boy, these guys really knock it out of the park. So it's all it is just, you know, a referral and a quick phone call. And if you're really good, you'll get more business without working really hard to get it. You know, that's why I'm saying always focus in on the service side, not on the profit side. You know,
I agree.
Learn everything you need to know about your customers and be the best damn service provider that you can possibly be. And don't worry about those profits. They will come later on. You just got to prove yourself first.
Hey, Drew, to touch on your point, just on this guy that I was just talking about, his name is Kyle. He holds season tickets to the Jets, the Mets, some university. His brother is a season ticket holder. He's told me, he's like, man, oh, and he lives in a McMansion because he's a single guy. So he's like, dude, anytime you come up to my part of the world, man, he's like, just come hang out with me. We'll go get fucked up in an NFL game or a Mets game or whatever. So, dude, he's super, super cool guy, man. Like, I've got another customer in Northern Ohio, an older guy named Andrew. This guy throws parties. His New Year party had 300 people. I was like, dude, I gotta come party with you old Polish people. Like, that's who's throwing the parties, man. So yeah, I agree with you, Drew, man. They build friendships as well.
Yeah.
He agrees with Jeff, like everybody else.
No. No, you know what? All I'm saying is an opinion. That's all it is. You know, I'm definitely not the smartest guy in the room. And if I walk into a room, I want a lot more smarter people than me, because that's how I learn. You know, if you're not learning every single day in this business, you're going to get left behind. And I've been in it for 43 years and I'm learning every single day, man. You got to do that. You can't be comfortable, dudes. You can't. You've got to be uncomfortable in logistics, or you're not going to make it. The more uncomfortable you are, the more that you learn. The less comfortable you are, you're not going to learn a damn thing, and you're going to be left behind like a bad habit, man. Done.
Yeah, that cracks me up. So, Jeff, after we talked earlier last week or later last week, and you brought up using the word expert. Like, nobody's an expert in this industry at all. I have absolutely deleted that word from my vocabulary in total, but every time on LinkedIn or Facebook or something, it's like, reach out to work with the experts. I'm like, looking like a clown.
I want to add my 2 cents to that. I have said this so many times on this show and in my life, dude. One of the greatest teachers that I ever had in this business was actually the guy who trained me to drive a truck. Between him, his mom, and his dad, they had, when I knew him, 40-something years behind the wheel. But his dad told me the first day that I met him, and when he taught me how to float gears in less than 3 blocks, he said, the best piece of advice that I can give you is the day that you think you know everything about this industry is the day that you need to get out of it. And I carry that. I carry that with me every day, man. I think that's probably the most valuable piece of advice I have ever gotten in this industry. Seriously.
Yeah. And you know something, the best leaders I had, and I don't say this in a negative way, taught me a lot by showing me nothing. They gave me goals. They gave me objectives. They gave me deadlines, they gave me little hints in there, but they showed me where the water was, but they didn't show me how to drink it. That was up to me, because if you are creating whatever you need to create to get to the end goal or objective, you're going to put more work into it because it's yours. It's not theirs. They didn't do it and tell you to fill in the cells. So those are the best leaders out there. They promote, they have the empathy, they give you somewhat direction, but they're not going to do your job. That's what they hired you to do the job that they hired you to do, So, those are the best type of leaders. Any guy that micromanages you or shows you how to do it and creates the stuff for you, that's not a leader. That's a follower.
Yep.
100%.
Very, very well put.
Before we get into the main topic of the show, first, we are going to take a quick commercial break and give a shout out to our sponsors.
Nice.
First, as y'all see rolling below on the bottom of the screen, is Jessica with Blueberry. Dude, I do it every time, bro.
Blueberry.
Blue Bonnet Carrier Management. We had her on the show last week. Absolutely amazing lady. Knows a ton about this industry, and her whole focus is to help the you owner operators, whether you're a one truck fleet or you're a 100 truck fleet. She does just a plethora of things and seems to be an endless amount of knowledge. And with that, here is a little information on her.
Nice.
There you go. Jessica Lopez at Blue Bonnet Carrier Management. Her information is scrolling there below the screen. We'll also put it back on later here in the show. Our second sponsor, who actually was our first sponsor, is Henry Sheldon and his team over at Freight Management Systems. They have put together an incredible transportation management system, been in business for almost 3 decades. Henry started out in the industry, him and his father pulling around carnival rides way back in the late 70s and early 80s. Very, very knowledgeable guy. Had some really good information that he put out to us. They're also coming out with some new updates in November, specifically to help the drayage and the international industry. So we're going to have them back on the show, and make sure you stay tuned for that so you can catch those updates. And with that said, All right. Like I said, Henry Sheldon and his team over at Freight Management Systems. Their information is currently scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Hunter, Brian. I don't know if Brian are connected. I think he's chatting through Jeff's site. I just
noticed that, dude. Dude, that's cool.
Yeah, I know who Brian is. Well, if you look up at the top, Hunter, Jeff, he used the link that we can provide that allows him to stream it to his crowd. That's what that extra LinkedIn thing is up there in the corner. So that's pretty cool, dude, that we actually now can stream to multiple kind of platforms in a way. You know what I'm saying?
We're already starting to learn.
We
even outside of Freight.
We are, dude. We sure are starting to learn. So before we actually fully introduce our guest, we're going to go ahead and move on to the little news segment that I like to do every night. I always like to try to highlight an article that I don't see other people talking about. I touch things from every side of the industry, broker side, technology side, safety, compliance, so forth and so on. And tonight we're going to touch on an issue that, me being a former driver, I think is what is one of an extreme importance. And you drivers out there watching, I know that you 1,000% agree with me. So let's move on into our news segment. Dude, don't you love it, bro? Hey, we've got everything set up. I got to give a shout out to Dr. Dre. He pretty much makes all of our little videos and stuff. Does a fantastic job. I will take partial credit because I'm the one that told him about Adobe Creative Cloud, and so that's what he uses. But yeah, Hunter, amazing job, bro. I absolutely love all the videos you do, man. So, but tonight's topic is about the truck parking bill. As you can see, this is an older article. Y'all know that if I can find something older to reference the updated information that I have, I always try to do that so we can, intake all the info that we can get, because sometimes things are left out as, things progress in the news. So this one right here is back in May of this year. It talks about when they were pushing the bill through the House and it getting approved. As you see, it was Bill HR 2367. They allocated $755 million over 3 years to expand truck parking capacity, which is, like I said, before we even put this up, that is a humongous issue out there on the road. I actually, as a person that operates a truck, I don't send my drivers to the Northeast, mainly because, or A, for the gas prices, but parking is like far and few between up there, man, and even what is up there, it's the truck stops are very small. Like the Northeast has these crazy fucking laws that things can only be certain sizes and you can't expand in certain situations. So it's a huge issue. And there's other stretches of highway, you get out west. There's literally signs that'll say, last gas 150 miles or whatever, you know what I mean? So it is a very pressing issue. But the updated article, which came out September 13th, so about a week and a half ago, I guess you'd say, it is talking about the first rollout from that $755 million that we spoke about in the previous article with them approving in May. So what I love about this is the fact that they're doing it so quick. Like, I'm really happy about that they're getting this money out as fast as they can. But I will say that $80 million is like a drop in the bucket for a first time. If you look at some of the rest areas that they have now, those things alone are $25-30 million to build one rest area. So this just 80 million just right off the bat it's only going to build a few spots and it's going to do very little. And further down this article, it actually lists the places that are going to get the upgrades or the additional parking first. But something that I wanted to touch on that was buried, I guess buried, it's a short article, but right in the middle of it and completely has nothing to do with what is said above it or below it, is that this grant, part of this $80 million that's for truck parking, and, this is the politicians always hiding their little things in stuff and making sure they get their part. But these grants will enhance electronic screening technologies to detect vehicle violations, such as automated license plate readers, DOT number readers, tire monitoring systems, hazardous materials placard readers, and money will also be used for outreach and education to combat human trafficking. So, when Hunter and I were talking about this before we got on the show, I'm all for anything that can do to help with human trafficking. However, I'm sure if I did some research, we probably passed several human trafficking bills this year. Why wasn't that included in that bill and that money from that bill used for this? The other thing is, obviously, here this is supposed to be about providing services for drivers, having them help with getting them extra parking and good places to park, expanding truck stops, or, providing rest areas that maybe have some of these vending machines that dispense hot food or whatever the case may be. But, the fact that a chunk of this is going to go to all of this other mess that, yes, I'm glad that they want to do this because I see the point in it. But again, how many other bills have we passed this year that have been dedicated towards the transportation industry? But the truck parking bill is the one you decide to take the money out for your bullshit.
Well, dude, think about this. Like, the government already owns the land that they're going to build this on. And what does it take to make truck parking? You got to get power supplies, some street lights, and then asphalt or concrete, whatever you use. And that's it. They already own the land. They don't have to pay taxes or anything on that. So how much money is that truly going to cost compared to paying salary for extra human trafficking stuff, like all these different systems that they're talking about. Like that's
Hey, you got another option out there, guys, for all the carriers that are out there. If you're not connected to Evan Shelley, he is the founder of truckparkingclub.com. He actually finds facilities that have open space that he basically buys and sells to truckers that need spots. And he's doing a great job. He's actually going to be on my show on October 9th on the Storytelling Chronicles, Life Lessons in Logistics. If you are not connected with him, please reach out to him. Ask for information on that if you're having problems on trying to park your vehicles in a safe area. He's the guy that can find you that location. So, tell him that the Bodacious Cowboy sent you, and I'm sure that he will definitely take care of you.
Yeah, I've seen some videos. That's how I found out about him when he was like they're actually on the road, like driving through some of these parking spots, like going on the radio, telling these drivers like, hey, at mile marker XYZ, there's an open spot or two for you. We'll hold it down. Let me know. It's crazy. But like looking into their website, like awesome. you can reserve it day of or day before, like people that just have these farms, that might be, just a couple miles off the interstate. Like, why not? That's awesome.
Hey, it's about keeping people safe in safe areas, especially if you have like high risk shipments that you need lidded areas, gated areas, whatever. He can find you that, especially if you're under contract to make sure that you're safeguarding your shipper's material. He's the guy that can find it.
Well, we're Dr. Dre just sent me the link, so I'm gonna pull it up here in a minute, but I want to touch on a little part of history of how all this began. And Jeff, you on this, I can't remember if you said you've ever been a driver, but this started in, I believe it was 2009, maybe between 2008, 2010. There was a driver, and if I did some research, I can look it up. There was a driver, he had parked for the night, and he ended up getting robbed and shot and killed because he had parked just like in an abandoned gas station parking lot. And I've literally done this myself. In Blytheville, Arkansas, there's a Love's, and if that is full, I used to go park across the street in the old torn down truck parking lot or truck stop parking lot. But either way, the guy got robbed and he got killed. And back then they started pushing this idea that man, we need safer parking spots and more parking places for a driver that, have at the very least cameras. It may not prevent the crime, but at least if it happens, we have some evidence for it. And if I'm not mistaken, that crime was never solved because he was the only truck there. It was in the middle of the night. And again, like that driver lost his life for a senseless thing. And I'm just, like I said, if I did research, I could find, what they may have stole from him. But obviously, most time in situations like that, it's bullshit. You get $100 and maybe someone's cell phone type deal. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is actually what started this big push. So let that tell you how slow the cogs turn in our country for things that actually have a purpose and will benefit those especially that are a huge part of making our country function and run. So, like I said, 2010, I think is when it was. Here we are, 2023. So 13 damn years it took them to really start getting this stuff together. But I'll move on from this in a second. Before I do, I will pull up that guy's website. But right here is the short little list of where this first 80 million is going to go. You can see Caldwell County, Texas. That's actually about 2 hours from me. They're going to put 22.9 million there. Caldwell Parish, Louisiana. I also know where that's at. I've got family from the boot. They're going to put 10.5 million there to buy some truck parking. I love this EV charging stations, guys. Don't get me started on that shit. Like, oh no, I am 1,000% against EVs. Period. I don't give a shit what it is. It's a scam. I-4 in between Tampa and Orlando. They're going to drop 15 mil for a new facility there. And near Memphis, Tennessee, that one I love because I'll tell you, in Memphis, they have 3 truck stops and they're all at the same damn exit in West Memphis. It's the Flying J, the Loves, or the Flying J, the Loves, and the Petro, I think it is. And it is in the worst of the worst fucking area that, oh my God, I used to sleep there. I slept there, I don't know how many times. It is absolutely horrible. So that'll be a good thing. And it's always packed because you wouldn't think it, but Memphis is actually a pretty hot spot for inbound freight, not so much outbound, but there's a ton of inbound stuff that goes there. It's obviously FedEx's headquarters.
Oh,
you
yeah.
got huge Kroger facilities there, and such. So yeah, it's always packed there. But really glad that this money is finally moving, or is moving out, and it's moving out so quickly. Definitely something that we need to provide safe places to park for these drivers. I would even love, honestly, I've always been one that's thought, why don't we install showers and rest stops? Not even for drivers, but even for motorists. You know what I mean? Like even motorists, go in there on a long trip and just be able to get a free shower. So there's that. And shoot, hold on, Hunter. I gotta post this link here.
On your LinkedIn?
Mine is running so slow, dude. Oh, I don't know. Oh, there you go. Truck Parking Club. This is who, dude, my internet's running so slow tonight. Oh my God, it's so aggravating. This is who Jeff and Hunter were just talking about. Truck Parking Across America. As you can see up top here, they have the app available on the Apple Store and in Google Play. This is an application that helps you drivers out there with finding additional parking places, all across the country. You can see right here that these are places that they have open spots. I'm not sure 100% how it works. Jeff is going to have the guy on his show, and I actually think that we're going to reach out to him too, Jeff, and see if we can have him on here and, talk about this stuff. I think that would be fantastic,
Oh yeah,
so
definitely. Definitely. I'm definitely a huge advocate in taking care of the carriers and take care of me. So, the more we get it out there and the more that we help the carriers, the better off everybody's going to do. You can't move America without these guys. So take care of them because they're doing their job and taking care of you on a daily basis, 24/7, 365. You can count on them.
You're right, brother. 1,000%. So there's our little news story for tonight. Bill talking about the truckers parking, a really cool thing. Except for the fact that they're taking money for it for shit that I'm sure was funded through plenty of other bills this year. But that's neither here nor there. I will digress. But to get along with our show, or before we get along with our show, I should say, read a couple comments, things we were talking about, and we didn't have time to read the comments. Byron, you're right. Safety is key, man. Just even if you don't drive a truck, just think if you're out there on a long trip across the country and, you don't have the money to buy a hotel, do you want to park in just some random place, or do you want to be able to pull into somewhere, that's got, security or security cameras or whatever to provide a safe situation for you? Again, Byron, you're right. Drivers have feelings too. I don't know about that, man. You must not know very many drivers. The only feeling most drivers have is anger and frustration. but you're right.
Yeah.
Without them,
you hope that they're channeling it right.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. We need people to stores put stuff on our shelves. Yeah. There you go, man. So,
hey, Rob, I got a question.
Yeah.
As much as I love you talking, who the hell are we even talking to?
I have no idea. I really don't. He's not on my stuff, bro. I don't know who the guy is. So
I'm talking about
he's got
here, the bodacious cowboy.
Oh. Well, I don't know who that guy is either. I just
I love it,
dude. If you won't, we'll send that to you, Jeff.
Hey, yeah, man. I love the music. Definitely that's me. Yeah, I wanted to come on your show as a professional, so I didn't wear the sunglasses. I didn't don the freaking cowboy hat. So sometimes you have to do that. I got my beer because I know there's a drinking show. So.
It is a drink show, but that's why we call it the Logistics Lounge, and that's why we're in the evening, because it is, man. It's that lounge feeling, it's the end of the day. You're getting together with some of your fellow industry professionals, and you're talking shop, talking shit, and drinking beer and whiskey and smoking cigarettes if that's what you do. And yeah, man. So it's okay to draw some F-bombs and to say some dams and some shits and all of that stuff, man. The only thing we don't talk about on this show is politics and religion.
All right. Yep. I don't think LinkedIn is for that anyway. So
hey, no place is all right with that with this show. We don't do it. We made that rule a long time ago. No, we literally, on that note, man, we literally cut a guy off like 2 weeks ago. It sucked. He had said something, and Hunter immediately goes to a video. I was like, you funny son of a bitch. But anyway, Jeff, introduce yourself to everybody. Let them know who you are, and
sure.
We'll move on from there.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on the show, guys. My name, again, is Jeff Dickinson, a.k.a. the Bodacious Cowboy. I have been in the industry since 1980. At the end of this year, I will have logged over 100,000 hours in the trenches of logistics. I'm not an expert in any one area. The way that I went about my career is I wanted to learn a little about everything in the supply chain, in the logistics field from cradle to grave, but I surely didn't want to get pigeonholed because you're cutting yourself short. The logistics industry is changing at a rapid pace. When I started, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have computers, we had fax machines, we had pony charts, and all the rates were on paper. No czar lights, no yellow 500Gs. Contracts were done by a firm handshake, and that was a committal. Now everything is lawyer-based, nuclear verdicts, and you name it, it's out there, and people have to be extremely cautious. So that's why you always have to be engaged in the library, as I would call it, gaining that extra knowledge, because if you're not learning on every single day, you're going to be left behind, because that's how fast the industry is changing. You've got to be on top of your game.
Absolutely. Since 1980, man. That's wild. That is wild.
Are you ever a driver, Jeff?
I did drive a box truck for a little while. I went for a ride, big rig, because I wanted to get that detail about what a driver's day in life is all about, so that I could actually talk shit about it and know what I'm talking about. We're going to get into the 4PL operation, but I used to follow pup trailers, multiple ones with lift gates, doing dealer deliveries to see what it entailed, the problems that they had, the breakdowns, inside deliveries, the timing of it, all of that, because I wanted to live the life of a driver, and there's no other better knowledge base that you could go off after or know about, unless you're in the trenches doing what he's doing, but doing it from your car and watching, so you understand. And that was a great learning experience for me.
That's, man, I'm glad that you did that. I'll say I've never been an owner operator, but even when I was a company driver, one of the things that I used to say all the time, and a lot of drivers say, is, how nice it would be for a lot of these people on the office side to get out there in a truck. We used to joke, these fleet managers couldn't even get in and start this truck or move it 15 feet. So, that's honestly one of the things that I feel sets me apart is I've been out there. I've said on the show several times, I'm a million miler. I've been every part of this country, in every type of season and weather. So I could talk shop with drivers, and I think that gives me credibility, when they could talk about, oh man, I was rolling across 84 and man, that snow was a son of a bitch and coming down up Three Sisters and I don't know what was going on. And I'm like, man, I feel you, partner. I done been there. Best I can tell you is whatever you top that mountain in, just go down in that gear. I mean, so
True.
Yeah, that's really cool that you've done that. I will say I wish a lot more people on our side of things, Jeff, would get in a truck at least just once, and see how
you have to. I think it should be a part of the training procedure. I've always said this about brokers, because I was on the warehousing side and I went to the dark side, sales, hate brokers. I'm not afraid to say that. And the only reason, guys, that I say that is when you're harassed day in and day out by brokers that reach out to you and cold call you and have absolutely no idea who you are or what you do or about the company. They just have the capacity, the cheapest rates, and I have guarantees that can't be beat. So use my services. It gets to you. It really does. And so what I try to do is do the opposite. When I call up my prospects, when I don't make a lot of phone calls. I'm not afraid to say that, but I want to get inside their head. I want to know their business. I want to do that knowledge. I want to do that upfront homework to find out who the prospect is, the guy or girl that I'm reaching out to, what their background is. Do they fall into my niche? Are they in my wheelhouse? Do they like the modes? Do I like the modes? Do they have the right transportation spend? Again, I don't go after transactional type customers because I think it's just a waste of time for me, and it's too much energy. It's too much risk. It's a lack of control. So I'm not interested in that at all. I'm just interested in the big hitters. So like when I make a call to a prospect, I don't even talk about freight. That's the least of my worries. When I make a phone call, I'm very blunt about that. Listen, I just want to be clear with you, Mr. Prospect. I don't want to talk about freight. I don't want to know about your freight. What I'm trying to do is talk and give you some thought-provoking ideas about, find out what your problems are, your needs and wants. I don't have any rates for you either. If you want to hear more and you want to continue, just let me know, and then we'll just move on from there. That's a quick snapshot, but there's a little bit more engagement on that. But I want to be different. Everybody out there has to have that differentiator and know what their value is and be able to share that with the prospect. That's only going to open up doors a little bit quicker, but you can't use the old adage and the old approach and be consistent with the capacity, best rates, guarantees. It's not going to work. You're going to have, 95% of the calls that you make out there are no's. You're just waiting for that 1 or 2% to say, yeah, let's have another conversation. So it's a down business. It really is, but you can't let it get to your heart.
You want to know who we blame for that in these current times, Jeff? We call them the COVID Crusaders. That's what it is. All these damn brokers. Not that brokers haven't been in, there's not been a lot of them, but all these folks, man, we say it almost every show, got in this industry during COVID and fucked things up, man. That's what it is.
But that's, I have to disagree with you on that, Robert, because, unethical brokers have been around for decades. They have been around for decades. They've been double brokering. They've been doing fraudulent things, even with factoring companies and everything, that they're the ones that give the good guys, the really good brokers that know their shit, a really bad name. And it's unfortunate. So these good guys that are out there, that are trying to make a decent, honest, ethical buck, are getting ramshacked because a fucking idiot out there went out there and put a bad taste into a prospect's mouth. And he already thinks, shit, everyone that calls me up is going to be like this asshole, and I don't have time. When you go to the big hitters and they have a spend of 25 million, 50, $100 million in freight, they don't have time to wipe their ass. They truly don't. These guys are running around like a chicken with their heads cut off. That's why I say, if you're going after those big hitters, you better know what you're talking about. You better understand the logistic mechanisms that they're dealing with every single day in and day out, and the challenges that they face. Yeah. The more that you can figure that out and find out what that problem is, that hidden bank, the better off you're going to be. But don't go in there cold. Make sure it's lukewarm water and that you know what you're talking about before you even open up your mouth, because it's going to be a complete waste of time.
Yeah, and hey, honestly, Jeff, that's all I meant by that, was touching on the part to where it's everybody calls and says the same thing now. You know what I mean? It's all the same thing. It's so repetitive and trite. It's like you said, I've got the best rates. I've got the carriers. I've got this service. I do. Like, that's all they lead with. You're right. They don't do any research into them or anything. And that's what I mean. Like, they've messed it up, is they've made it they have made it hard, not just the scammers, but the ones that don't know what the hell they're doing and got into this when, as I always say, the brother, mother, sisters, cousins, chicken's best friend said, hey, you can become a freight broker and make a bunch of money. They're the ones that messed up and made it harder for those, like you said, that are honest to really just use a straight line and say, hey, look, I know what you do. I researched company. I can provide you good service. We can talk about rates at a later time. I'm not going to promise you what this and that and the fourth up front. But that's all it's mean is like that small portion of it. They've made it harder because it's just so repetitive. They get 80 calls a week, and it's, you're the fifth person. You know what? I use this example. It's like the solar cells, right? Like at least twice a week, someone's knocking on your door. Do you want solar? And so there you go, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It really is. It's really unfortunate, and that's why to me, and believe me, I have a lot of friends in the industry that will disagree. We'll agree to disagree and still be friends. We're not going to hate each other or anything because we have our own thoughts and our own beliefs. But the thing is it's where you came from. It's that background that you had. Now, whether it's decades in the trenches or maybe you're a 2, 5, 10-year, career kind of guy or woman that's out there, you're going to have a different perspective than a guy or a woman that's been in it for 20, 30, 40 years, even 50, because they've seen a lot. They've seen a lot. They give their opinions. And the old adage, you don't want history to repeat itself, because it's detrimental to the industry, to each and every one of us. Listen, I don't care who's out there. There are no guarantees in logistics. Trust me on this. There are exceptions to the rules, and it's called an act of God that you do not have control of that could happen at any given minute. In logistics, you get blindsided every single day. You don't know when it's going to happen, but trust me, it's going to happen. If you don't look at the what if scenarios and prepare yourself proactively to what could possibly happen and try to fix it on a reactive mode, you're going to fail. You're going to fail greatly. Trust me on this. So always look at things that seem to be impossible, because I'm telling you right now, those things that seem to be impossible are possible, and they'll smash you in the ass when you least expect it. And that's when you're going to lose customers. So always think about that. Have your powwows with your sales team. Think about the impossible and make it possible. Get ahead of the curve, guys. Get ahead of the curve.
You know what? Right now, I feel like we need to roll. Hunter, you may be too young for this, but Jeff, I know you remember it back in the 90s when they put out like some information on TV and it did that. The more you know, little star thing. Do you remember that, Jeff? We need to roll that right now.
I'll tell you, the legacy that I want to leave is that I want to try to give information out to the younger folks out there, just to make them think a little bit, just to make them think of a different perspective, a different idea, a thought process that they never thought of because they haven't seen it, they haven't lived it, they haven't touched it, they don't understand it. They know all the new technologies, but there's a lot of old stuff that are still active out there that you just get frustrated. We talk about AI and ML, machine learning and automation. Yeah, it's good, but let me tell you something. There's a lot of things in this industry that you must have a heart. You must have a soul. You must understand empathy. Machines don't have empathy. They don't have a heart. They don't have a soul. You need that contact, that human intervention that only humans know how to react to things. It's a tone, it's an understanding. And when you lose that, you're going to lose a lot. And they're going to be reactive instead of proactive, because it's the only thing, it's like the grapevine. This machine tells this one, it learns, and then it takes that and tells the other machine, and somewhere along the line, something's going to be missing. And that's the key element to the success of figuring it out a lot faster. It's still going to take time for it to evolve, but I just seen a lot of things out there, and there's a lot of guys out there and women who've been in the field as long or just maybe a little less than myself, but we're a dying breed, man. I come to the conclusion I'm not going to retire anytime soon because I don't have a job. I have an invention. I love what I do. So it's not a job to me, so I have no intentions of retiring. I want to give as much as I can and still do my business because I enjoy it every single day.
So I want to say two things. First, to bounce on what you said earlier about sharing your knowledge with the young crowd. I was talking to a friend of mine, Laurent Batiste. He owns Batiste Transportation. They're out of Northwest Arkansas. Fantastic guy. I hope he watches this later so he can hear me say this. But we were talking. He's been in the industry for a while too, for well over a decade. His dad was a truck driver growing up, but we were talking about what we call old heads. And to me, that's what you are. And that's not a term of disrespect. Like that's actually a term of endearment, man, because the old heads are the ones you learn from, man. They're the ones that have been in the game, that have seen the progression of, like we talked about on that private meeting we had, man, the green and white bar printer paper, you know what I mean? Coming out, and fax machines and the lines at the payphones back when that was dial a truck, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The going from paper to ELD, all that stuff. And a thing that I say all the time, and that him and I also, or that I told him on this call is, what's the point of having knowledge or wisdom if you don't share it?
Right.
If you know anything about or everything about anything or just most of a thing about something, what's the good of knowing all of that if you're not teaching others?
Right.
All of that stuff does need to be passed down. And I'm one of those people. I'm here to learn from folks like you, Jeff. Even as a young child, I always hung out with adults because I gravitated towards them, man. Like I did. I wanted to know what they knew. When I was in the Army, I was an enlisted, man. I hung out with like E7s, E8s, captains, majors. Like I wanted to be around the people that had been in the game for a while, that knew the shit that was going on and could teach me to bring myself up to the next level. So I appreciate that, Jeff. And I follow and watch and read all of your stuff, man. So from one young man to an old head, I'm learning from you.
That's what they say, man. Put yourself around others that you want to be like.
Yeah.
Yep. And I'm I know we got off track because we want to talk about 4PL, but I have a passion for this industry, and I have so many people that I think, like Doug Sardoff, Kevin O'Mara, he's like one of the best guys out there. Mike Q, Nick Ziss, just a few of like my mentors, my coaches, my disciplinarians that helped me, that gave me that opportunity for a little kid to rise to the occasion and take over jobs or being put into really hard, challenging positions because they believed in me and made me to believe in myself, where I became very, very successful in strenuous, unbelievable, very challenging logistics operations, very, very complex. And that's why, nothing in this industry really phases me. When you go through hell and back and then back into hell and back, you learn a few things. I can tell you that right now, and the smaller things that are out there that drive people nuts, I just tell them, control the controllables, everything else put by the wayside, man. Don't worry about it. Just control the things that are right there in front of you. Focus on the goals. Don't waste your time. Work smarter, not harder. You'll get exactly where you need to be. You just need to get that focus, that structure, that discipline to be consistent on what you do day in and day out, and then adapt that knowledge into that structure, and then you'll be able to move quickly through the ranks for sure.
Yes, I agree. In the military, they call it the 3-foot world. It's look at the problems that are right in front of you and right beside you and right behind you. Figure out a way to solve those, and then once you solve those, you move another 3 feet, and you just keep progressing. But to touch on your point, to get on track, Jeff is here to talk about 4PL. Specifically something that he helped set up with one of the big three in the auto industry. I, for one, I'm super stoked to hear about this. On that phone call today that I was just talking about with my friend LaRon, he even asked me, he's like, what is a 4PL? He's like, I've heard of it, but I really don't know what it is. Like, I know what a 3PL is, and I tried explaining it to him, and he understood it, but let's start there, Jeff. Explain what a 4PL is, and then progress into your main topic, if you would, for us.
Yeah, no problem. And I appreciate that question. I'll try to make it as simplistic as possible. A 3PL is like a broker. They're working from an office, off-site, pretty much managing a lot of the logistics ongoing. So what's happening? A 4PL, or one step above a 3PL, is that you're on site at the customer, managing the customer's logistics and transportation at the customer site. What's good about that is that you're ingraining yourself fully into the operation, or getting that seat at oak table down mahogany row. So anything that's happening, you're involved with it. You know what's happening. I had that opportunity to do that at Ford Motor Company. Kevin O'Mara took a chance on me. I went through. I felt like I was getting fucking interrogated, and it really was, because Kevin had a job to make sure that he had the right person in the right space. He took a chance with me. Did I have a problem? Shit, yeah, I had a big problem there. And the PDC manager there, Bill Stewart, stuck up for me. The customer stuck up for me and said, no, it wasn't Jeff's problem, it was our problem. And we were doing integration. That's why I started learning about integration and learning the ins and out of that, and the possible red flags that come up when you don't think about the possibilities. That's why I'm a what ifs kind of person. It was going into an operation that was strictly UAW. I was the guy on site, and now I had to get rid of the UAW workers and bring in my own people. I had to hire my outbound specialists, my inbound specialists, my claims specialists. You name it, I had to hire them. I had to put them in there. I had to train them in those specific areas. I had to integrate the docks. I had to put computers on the docks to scan every single box that went out to the dealers. I wrote all the work instruction processes, process improvement plans. I mean, some people go into operations and they administer what somebody else created, to make sure that it's going. I tore them up. So I'm starting totally at ground level and creating it as I went, in order to create more profits, more productivity, decrease inefficiency. We're talking about an extravagant, complex logistics operation, where we were taking in 30 to 35 full truckloads a day, 5 boxcar rail cars in a day, running 48 dedicated fleet operations every single day, filling up 10 LTL boxes every single day, going and filling up 3 LD3s, which go in the belly of a plane for overseas, delivering to 1,000 clients, creating all the route designs and doing the implementation, and then finding domiciles to park trucks, and creating the route designs. I mean, I could just keep on going on and on and on. So it was like, trial by error. You fail, you pick up the pieces. I had to do meetings with all the traffic managers around the country, and we had 9 PDCs. And I was in the transitionary period of moving from 9 PDCs to 18 high velocity centers.
What's a PDC, Jeff? Real quick.
Parts distribution center.
Okay, cool. Sorry, continue.
Yeah. And Ford Motor Company at the time had 9 PDCs throughout the country. And basically what I had to do when I started this is that I had to create work instructions for best practices using my PDC as a guinea pig. And what worked, I had to mirror that image at all the other PDCs that were around the country. And then make sure I was involved in the ISO audits, in layman's terms, that's do what you say what you do, document it, mirror it, make sure that it's up to date. You know, when you write your work instructions, you're creating addendums to the original work instruction program to show continuous improvements over time. So we had to frequently look at those work instructions to see what was working, what was not working. And you're talking about fast-paced shit, man. I'm talking, I mean, because
sounds like
millions of
sounds
dollars.
like they hired you to be a COO, third party style, though. I guess fourth party style, but that's fucking insane, dude. How long? Like, so you just got thrown to the wolves. Like, here's what we have going on.
It was pretty much, and
no.
it was chaotic, and I'm just being dead honest. Was it one of the hardest jobs that I ever had? No, it was the hardest job I ever had in 43 years.
Yeah, that's insane, dude. I mean, like, what was the timeline like? Like, how did you break down your day in that? Like,
we'll go from the beginning. Getting there at 7 o'clock in the morning when I first started, and then doing the handoffs, what's happening, what hasn't worked, how many claims have we had. Doing the negotiations with the carriers. I had to do all the negotiations with the carriers, every single mode that we did on that. Look for hidden bank opportunities. I always, if you read my post and my content, I always talk about the hidden bank opportunities because those are the hidden gold mines where the golden nuggets are found. That a lot of people, when they go into work environments and logistics, they don't know where to look. I know how to uncover those things because that's where I had to do in that complex operation. I had to dig deep and to find out where the trigger mechanisms were that caused problems, not just in my facility, but it actually went through other facilities because they kind of worked at the same level, and it was freaking insane. And as things got involved, I mean, I'm trying to sum this up. There's so much that's involved, but just to hit on the main subjects is that the second largest PDC in the country, that's where I started. It was the number 2 building that Ford owned at the time. They owned San Francisco building and they owned Teterboro, New Jersey, parts distribution center. So as I got more involved, I had to start understanding how the UAW worked and understood, and had to become very good friends with the president of the UAW and the union in that area.
What's UAW?
The United Auto Workers, the ones that are on strike right now.
GM. Yeah,
right.
Just heard about that.
So, it was like I used to get grievance complaints against me because I would walk in the warehouse and pick up a 4x4 cube because it was the middle of the aisle where the forklifts went, and then they kind of said that I was trying to take the union guy's job from picking up a box. This kind of shit that you had to deal with. It was very stressful, because they didn't know me. I didn't know them. They didn't like me. I didn't like them, so we had to start building that trust, that bond, that collaboration that I talk about in my post all the time. It was that learning, that learning time where we had to feel out each other to build that trust. where I could go to him and he could go to me, and we would be on the same page because we were congruent. And it was very tough. It was not, because you're talking about the UAW, a stronghold on everything that you did. So if they didn't like you, they would put a grievance against you, or they make your life fucking horrible. You know, were they good people? Yes, they were very good people. Was the president Pete? Was he a great guy? He was a great guy after I got to know him. But
sounds like union workers.
But so as the things went on, I actually decommissioned the second largest PDC in the country. It was 800,000 square feet, and I helped erect and start up a brand new high velocity center about 20 miles, excuse me, south of where the PDC was. And sorry about that.
That's what I was saying. Wash it down with a beer. Wash it down with a beer, buddy.
Because I'm thinking so hard because there's so many things to talk on. So I was getting probably 4 hours of sleep when I did that a night. And I was working till 1 o'clock in the morning, then driving 50 minutes to my house, waking up at 4 to get back there to talk to the UAW and do the operational transfer of what's going on, what's expected. And then I was going from Teterboro to Cranberry, Cranberry to Teterboro, Teterboro to Cranberry, Cranberry to Vernon, every single day, 6 days a week for about 4 months. And it was crazy.
So
I didn't. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, Jeff.
I got a hair in my throat.
It's from that awesome stash, man.
There you go. There you go.
I will.
I'm passionate about this because when I think about that, I get all choked up because it was a transformation for me as a professional in this industry that just changed my whole life and perspective about the industry, because I always thought that everything was easy until I got there. And then after there, I'll tell you, then things became easy and I knew what hard was. And it wasn't easy. And my boss, Doug Sordoff, we used to go at it a lot, and he's a great guy. He was in, I think he was in the Navy. So, he was a hard son of a bitch, great guy. I love Doug, even though we went at each other because he was my boss, but I learned a shitload from him.
I actually cut my teeth in a similar situation. So I drove for 10 and a half years. And while I was driving, I actually put myself through college on my GI Bill behind the wheel of a truck. It took me 4.5 years to get my associates along with a bunch of other certifications, but I was working 70 hours a week. Either way, one of the first jobs that I had was a transportation supervisor / safety assistant on site at a Home Depot distribution plaza. I mean, this thing was, man, it was fucking massive in the south of Dallas. But we handled the yard dogs. That's what the company I worked for. It was called E-Transport. They're actually owned by Suntech. Jeff, I know you know who Suntech is. Or Hunter, you may as well. I don't know, but they're just their truckload. But either way, we worked in conjunction with Swift. Swift was on site, and we would pull all the trailers in the containers in the doors and out the doors, and would position them in the yard. But Swift would bring all the containers on the yard. They brought all the trailers. They took all the loaded containers, all the trailers out, and delivered them to the Home Depot stores it was a pretty good sized area. But I will say, Jeff, that I learned so much at that job because it was my first job outside of college. I worked at Office Depot as a logistics operation manager, but that was the first job I was on the ground with drivers, working with transportation managers, transportation supervisors. I'll never forget the lady that ran the transportation for that site for Home Depot. Her name was Tammy. dude, she was this short little 5'4" lady, but she was the most vicious chick ever. Like, dude, she did not play games. Like, if she comes to you and with a problem, like, you better have an answer, and you better have an answer fast. She wants it in an email with 18 people tagged, and then she wants updates on the hour, every hour, about how the solution is progressing. So
it's crazy, you know. Getting back to Ford, when we had a startup across that, and we had the irony of it was that at the time, Ford umbrella had 7 different manufacturers that were under them. It was like Jaguar, Aston Martin, Lincoln Mercury,
Mazda.
Mazda, yeah, all of them. And so what happened is that it was like 2 ships passing in the middle of the night. You know, they were going out and doing runs, and then coming back and doing another run to another dealership. So, you know, after thinking about it, and I'm trying to make it as interesting but as short as possible. So what we did was we developed the cross stock, where we would send out milk run, and we would stop at a Lincoln Mercury and an Aston Martin and a Jaguar and a Ford, and then and we would have that built into a routes. And then the cross stock, we would blend the material. We would take the high velocity, which was not the extended length material like quarter panels and drive shafts and rocker panels and that kind of stuff from the high velocity center. That was the smaller stuff. But the stuff that was coming in from Novi, Michigan, Romulus, Michigan, were coming in truckloads, and we were blending those large pieces with the smaller pieces that were put in rolling cages, and then putting them in order in sequence to the route, so that, you know, the nose of the trailer would be the last delivery, and then the tail would be the first delivery. And we would build these routes to see, you know, how they would run. And then we had to balance off the inventory, because we had these massive peaks and these valleys throughout the week. And it was heavy on the deliveries on one side, because we had interim orders, which was like the LTL. And then we had the stock orders, because the dealerships shrunk their warehousing, and they were using our trailers as rolling warehouses. So we were always going out there with the VORs, which is the vehicle off the road, the emergency stuff that was going out every single day, the interim LTLs like every other day, and then a stock order every week to like 1,000 dealerships. And then what we did was we implemented super lock boxes. You know, like a lock box that you put on the outside with your key in it, and you have the code, you put it in there. Well, these were satellite driven. And what we did was we did that so that we could increase on-time delivery performance to like 99% or better. I actually, and I'm happy, I don't know what it is now, but we were like the foundational people that created the structure for Ford Motor Company. I'm really glad to say this too, that Snyder Logistics, who had the contract, I was there when they first got the contract, and 20 years later, they're still in there. Talk about clients for life and sustainability and the value that they bring. I love Snyder National. They're a great company, and I worked for them even on the intermodal side, because I used to be the Northeast Regional Operations Manager for Snyder Intermodal. That was after Ford, when I kind of moved up. But yeah, so when we did that, the drivers would go in there to take their cages off the pup truck on a lift gate. They had to put in their code to open up the door. They had 15 minutes to do that delivery. They had to get everything off the truck into that small little, it was like a 5x10 room. And then as soon as they had done, they had to put the code in there, would hit the satellite. It would tell you when that truck got there, when it left. And it really decreased everything. It took all the waste out of it, you know, because time was money. You know, we did blended negotiations that took in the stops, the mileage, the lift gate charges, everything was like blended for SG&A cost. That's the overheads that all the additional charges that keep the operation going. So we developed all that kind of stuff that was in there. So, you're talking about really, really high complex logistics mechanisms. And then we had a yard that was filled with trailers without a YMS, a yard management system. So I created my own YMS. So I would do the FIFO, and I would know what trailers are going into what doors and getting them out there and getting them filled and ready to be dispatched consistently on the right day at the right time with the right material. And that's what I'm saying. The stuff that
So
I'm doing today is like nothing.
I have a couple questions. So
Go ahead, shoot.
First question, Jeff, is someone who understands manufacturing processes for automotive manufacturers, including the trucking industry. Were you a part of getting stuff out of the ports or across the border? Because I know Ford and a lot of manufacturers, they'll manufacture pieces or specific parts of a vehicle or a platform, say in Canada or Mexico or maybe India, and then they bring it over here and they assemble it all here. Like,
a lot of that stuff was being brought in, and with containers or air shipments or all different kinds of inbound deliveries. A lot of it was full truckloads that basically, came in from Michigan or came in from the tier 1, 2, and 3 vendors, OEMs that came in that made those deliveries on a daily basis. And we had inbound schedules, and you couldn't park at the facility. I wouldn't allow it. If you were 15 minutes late, you were done. See you tomorrow, reschedule, whatever, because it was so fast paced. It was so fast moving. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. I remember when we had and it's not confidential anymore because 20 years later, but an inside job where they stole the whole truckload of engines inside job. And we had all the cameras and everything. So I literally had to sit at my desk. I said, don't fucking worry about it. I got this, and I sat there and I watched frame by frame by frame. And I just happened to catch the truck that went by the camera and was able to get the number and all of this. And we drilled into it. Security couldn't even do it. It's pretty funny. We had a security team and everything. They didn't find it. They just happened to find the needle in a haystack, and the truck was in Patterson, New Jersey, someplace, and they had like it's like a metal Gaylord, they call the Z21 cage that they put the black metal that goes underneath the cars. That would be your A-frames, anything that's metal that might be coated that's not been coated. In that because it's just they're picking parts and they're throwing it in these freaking things, baskets, and putting it in trailers. Yeah. So very, very interesting stuff.
So my second question, Jeff, is and you kind of touched on this, but I just want to expand on it. So did you also handle the finished product, like leaving from the manufacturer or the assembly facilities out to the dealerships, or was it just pieces?
Oh yeah, that's what I was in charge of. I had to go. I visited a lot of places. I was up on Plymouth Road in Detroit at Ford Motor Company headquarters. I dove into a lot of stuff because my intuitive nature said, you need to know this. You don't need to know it all, but you have to understand the flow of material and how it's made, how it's stored, how it's shipped, how it's delivered, how it's unpacked, how it's inventory. I mean, there's so much stuff on that, because you're talking hundreds of thousands of SKUs. I mean, just think about how many pieces that are in a car. You know, I can tell you right now, in a Rolls Royce, there's over 250,000 pieces in a Rolls Royce.
So basically, it's for every dollar you spend almost.
Well, yeah, but the thing is with the automobile industry, and we kind of figured this out from the analysis and what we were shipping, that actually every car is built to break. And they know what part is going to break faster than others because you can see the turnover in what part, what SKU is moving faster. You know, the fast moving SKUs that were moving compared to other ones. It's like, okay, so they have a higher breakdown things, you know. So now you're talking about the storage and forecast monthly demands and where that inventory is kept in the warehouse so that you can have quick access to it, so you can get it to the staging area so that it can be picked, so it can go into a cage, it can go into a right check, so it can get scanned. I mean, there's much more to that, but I'm just being really quick about it. So, and you're talking hundreds of thousands of pieces that are like moving every single day. It's like, it's crazy. And you have to have accountability for every freaking thing that moves out of there.
Do not get me started on what I say the conspiracy of these auto manufacturers are. Like, it's funny you said that. I say all the time, like, we're at the point where these sons of bitches, they just build stuff to break. Like, that's all they do. Like I'm serious. I think they have a lab where they're like, let's see what parts we can manufacture to break the fastest so we can make more money.
I'll just say this, man. As a guy that loves Ford trucks, I don't want a freaking spaceship. Just make me a base model that has, you know, the Lariat package, but I don't need the computer. I want a truck that's nice on the inside.
That's so funny. So you're a Ford guy. My daughter is a Ford person as well. She actually builds diesel race trucks. She has a 2015 F350 Platinum that's got about 900 horse, and she has.
We need your daughter on the show. Go get her, Jeff. You're done.
She goes to Island Dragway and she races it all the freaking time, you know. And then she's got a 2010 F350 heavy duty. The other one has a 6.7 dual turbo in it, and the other one's a 6.4 with the single turbo in it. But she's got the Harley Davidson interior in it that she put it. I don't know. She's a wrencher. She's a wrencher.
You got to DM me some pics, man. Oh man,
I'll send you some pics, man. It's badass truck, man. I'll tell you that. It is.
My 16-year-old. He's a diesel guy. I'm not, because I don't know anything about diesel engines, so I'm not into diesel vehicles. But my 16-year-old son, man, he loves diesel trucks, man. You seriously got to send me some pics of that.
There you go. So what was the other question? What was the other question? I think you said you had 3 or 4.
I did. So I asked about the
parts, manufacturing and delivery was the last one you did.
Yes. I don't know. I forgot. To be honest with you, Jeff, I have a brain injury, so keeping things in my mind for more than 30 seconds is a rarity for me. I'm being honest. But so I can't remember what my last question was.
That's fine.
But continue, Jeff. I mean, like, dude, I'm loving the information that you're giving out, man.
Yeah, and so, you know, it's that's why I love complexity. You know, that's what my business, and I started up, you know, the more complex the logistics operation is, the happier I am. You know, a lot of people like to fray away from that kind of stuff, but that's definitely in my wheelhouse. You know, the bigger the challenge, the happier I am, because that's where the value comes in. You know, that's my differentiator, you know, because I lived it. I've seen it. You know, it's still kind of the operation right now, except there's a lot more technology, which I'm on top of as well. Because, I mean, when you think about the transition, like I said, when I first started and we didn't have all that technology, I think the kids today would have went fucking nuts if they couldn't have that computer in front of them and have to do everything on paper and the calculations and all that kind of stuff, longhand kind of speaking, and doing quick because decisions had to be made fast. It's that development, the evolution that they missed out on. It's like our parents and the world wars that they went through and how they lived and fought and made it through all that area. Well, it's almost the same thing with logistics, where we're not talking about the logistics of building Rome, but the thing is that when you see that transition from the 70s into the 80s into the 90s, the 2010s, 20s, it's fascinating, and my mind just keeps on rolling. It's like the evolution, it's happening faster than it did ever before, which is great for the industry, and we need it desperately. We really do. And I'm all for it, but that's what I said, knowledge every single day. When you go to these events, go to the events or the topics that you're, totally uncomfortable with. That's the stuff that you need to go. You have to be uncomfortable to walk into that room and know absolutely shit about the topic and learn it. That's what needs to be done in this industry. Don't be afraid to be that. That's the room you want to be in, because those are the smart people. Those are the people that you're going to learn from, and then by due diligence, when you go into the books and the knowledge and you start asking the questions that all of a sudden don't sound stupid, you're on the right track. You are absolutely on the right track, and you're going to learn a hell of a lot of shit. That's for sure.
I want to just say, I mean, it's off the 4PL subject, but I want to bounce off what you said about being a part of the evolution of logistics. So I started my logistics career in 2006. When I was in the Army, I went in as an 88 Mike. And when I got out, I became a truck driver. And when I first started driving, we were using paper logs. You had to keep track of your fuel mileage. You had a sheet that you had to write down starting mileage, ending mileage, fuel, the amount of fuel you took on, figure all that stuff out. When you got done with your shipment, there was no taking a picture and attaching it to an email. You had to go to a truck stop and put that thing into a TransFlow system or another system to scan in your paperwork to get paid. I remember when ELDs first came out, when I started being a local driver with Performance.
How about
Qualcomm? I never ran with ELD. Like, that was a learning experience for me. I will say I pride myself in being what I call a master of ELDs, because I'm one of the few people that, or I wouldn't say few, but I used to be able to run my ELD just like I ran a log, man, because the logging laws didn't change. It was just the system that you use changed. So, and then even back then, I talked about this as well in another show, AS400. I know you remember that, Jeff. Like, that was the go-to transportation system.
That was it. And that's why I'm fucking blind today, because the AS400 was this green screen that all the letters were green and they were dot matrix, and you swear that every dot of the letter was moving, and you got into this trance that you're looking at this, and you swear to God, because they start shaking and moving, and you start going like this. And seriously, you just want to go into a fucking dark room and put like blinders on there and stay in there for hours. Any kind of light that went on, you just got like blown out of your chair, because this thing was freaking horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
That goes to show our age, man. We're talking about like MS-DOS.
It's good information, though. That's what I'm trying to portray, and come across that, that evolution of, complete freaking disaster tools that we had that were very good at the time. Yeah. We had no choice but to use them. I mean, do you know what kind of kick-ass logistician I would have been if I was there back then and had the tools fucking today?
I know you're so right.
God. Oh my Lord, man.
I
remember, I'm telling you right now, that's why, I tell the kids, that are out there, and a lot of them are my friends, and they reach out and they DM me and stuff like that. I was like, learn. If you want some, some really good advice, learn. Just suck that shit up, and there's never a stupid question in logistics. Don't be afraid to ask a question, because it's that one question that you should have asked that you didn't, that you wish you did, because a freaking question came up that was asked to you by a customer, and now you got to go, shit, I don't know, and also get the balls to say to a customer, Mr. Prospect, great question. You know what? I don't know, but this is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to go do some investigation. You're free tomorrow at about 3:00. I'm going to get back to you, and I'll have all that information that you need, or have the audacity to say no. What's wrong with the language? I mean, come on, grow a set, be able to say no. Be able to say, I don't know. Get rid of the freaking ego. Get rid of it, man. It's self-destruction. It'll destruct you, man. Don't, seriously, when you're able to say that, you have no idea or no clue how better off that you'll be if you can actually admit and take the accountability that you're wrong. Say it. I don't know.
Dude,
I made a mistake.
That's funny you say that, Jeff. Man, I straight up told a customer last week, they kept sending me all these lanes that I was not competitive in. And I had the manager reach out to me and say, hey, we need these faster. And I was like, look, man, I can't do these, but here's what I am good at. Shit you not, the same day I got 15 different quotes from what I told them I was good at. And it has been blowing up ever since, man. Like, you're not wasting their time, obviously, but they give you the opportunity.
Yeah, but that's the impression that you're doing. If you're going to be an asshole and tell a guy you can do it, and you're only there, for 2 weeks, and then you go, you get all this bad email. What's happened? Why are they late? How come it wasn't picked up? What happened? They're not communicating with me. All this other kind of stuff. You're better off saying, dude, that's not my niche. That's not
not my wheelhouse.
That's not my expertise. You really seriously back out, get out, get the hell out, because you're going to lose business because of that stupid thing of saying, I know I can't do it, but yeah, sure, I can do that. No problem. We'll start next Friday, and then you get off the phone and you go, what did I just say, man? Oh shit, how am I going to pull this off? It's just like,
I did that.
I
did that to myself like 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. Luckily we pulled it off, and I do kick myself in the ass, but it's because I've been working this guy for so long, and then he just started dripping out loads to me. And I'm like, all right, all I got to do is do one, even if I take a loss, I'll do it. And I didn't realize that the area that his stuff comes out of is like a hotbed for reefer freight. And so you have so much competition that I was like, oh, well, I'll just bid it at this and I'll be able to move it. And the first load, I took like a $300 loss. And I went back to him, and I told him, hey, or I should say, I rated 2 more loads for him. He said, hey, why have your rates jumped? And I explained to him, listen, this is the deal. Where your stuff comes out of, it is a super hotbed for reefer freight. There's a lot of competition. Your stuff is always partials, 4, 5, 6, 8 pallets. I've got to rate it accordingly for these drivers to be willing to add your freight to a truck, or for a box truck driver to do it. And it did work out for me. I mean, now I shoot the rate through, and he may call and ask me a question, but I've been pretty much winning all of his stuff because I was honest with him. I said, hey, I thought I understood what I was doing with your stuff, and I didn't. And even a caveat to that, his stuff is seafood. His FTL loads, what I did last week was valued at $444,000. I spent an entire day finding rider insurance to be able to cover that additional amount, because dude, there are very few carriers out there that have over 250,000.
Oh yeah,
you
got to buy that personal insurance protection on
yes,
things.
so
high risk.
I put my foot in my mouth, but I ended up teaching myself something and building a bond with this customer by being honest and saying, hey, like, I do know about this, but your stuff is kind of right above the level where my knowledge stops. But if you'll bear with me, I promise you I'll learn and I will kick ass for you. And now we have a great relationship. The guy's named Scott. He's like 65 years old. Dude is funny as all get out. He's actually a Yankee, but he lives down in Florida now, enjoying the good life. But so yeah, to bounce on what you said, man, it's about being honest and transparent and knowing what you're good at and admitting what you're not good at, but sometimes saying, hey, if you're willing to bear with me and let me learn and teach myself and you teach me, I promise I will be a powerful, valuable asset for you moving forward.
Yeah. And here's 3 things of value that you should always keep in the back of your mind. All freight is not good freight. All prospects are not good prospects. All clients are not good clients. 3 things you have to remember. Figure out the ROI, how much time you're spending on your clients, what's the return compared to the amount of time you're putting into it. If they're no good, lose them. Take that time that you just gained and put that into your bigger clients, your bigger producers. You'll get better results if you do that. Feel out the prospects, understand who you're reaching out to. Don't make calls to prospects that are going to end up on your shit list. It's a waste of time. Take that time, concentrate on the freaking clients you have in your pipeline and start going upstream or downstream. Start exploring what they are doing. And if you're good covering that customer, ask for reference, ask for recommendation. Ask for an okay to go to their vendors. Work smarter, not harder. It's at your fingertips. You just have to ask the right questions. And it's like not making a phone call, but making a phone call and getting a yes automatically because you just got the go ahead from a customer that you're knocking it out. That's the kind of thought process that I have. I work different. All right. A lot of people out there call more. I'm quality over quantity. I go for the big hitters. I have no time, like I said previously, for the little boys in there. I am a little fish in a small shark infested pond, and I love to swim with them. And when I kick their ass, nothing makes me feel better. And when you get clients that say, you're better than the big boys, you recover better than the big boys, that's all I need to hear. That's why I do this business.
Hey, Hunter, I know you can't see it, but that's Karen. Karen, the insurance specialist. That's a compliment to you, Jeff. She's saying you speak so eloquently. I
appreciate that. I'm just being honest. I mean, I do have a passion. Some people don't like the things that need to say because they don't understand it or they don't want to hear it, but you really need to hear it. And I'm not the smartest person in the room. Believe me, there's so many other people that I hold high on a pedestal because those are the people that taught me and made me build my own thick skin, because you have to have it in this industry. You can't take everything to heart because it'll eat you up. It'll kill you. It will fucking kill you. It really will. The stress levels are unbelievable. You have to have that balance. You really do. And that's the hardest thing and I'll be honest, forthright on this. That's the thing that I suck at. Okay. And it kind of makes me upset. I get emotional about it because when I started in this business, I never saw my daughter grow up because I was not around. I was not around for her. And it's horrible. And I tell everybody out there, don't do what the bodacious cowboy did, because it's really bad. I've been with my wife for 43 years. My daughter's 30 years old. The only reason why I'm with my wife is that I probably saw her out of the last 43 years, maybe 20 years of that, because I was never around. I put my heart and soul into this industry, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. But the passion was the wrong type of passion. I should have had that for my family, not my job.
I will say, Jeff, man, brother, oh, I second that, man. You know, I joined the Army. My oldest was 4. He's now 21. But man, I've been in this 16 years, and I'll tell you, I can understand, man. I missed so many birthdays, anniversaries, baseball games, basketball games, you know, kindergarten graduations, all this stuff because I was either out there on the road or even now, you know, my wife gets on to me. I'll be out on a date with my wife and I'm sitting here on my phone doing work. And she's like, babe, can I have your attention? I'm like, you know, it's like, I'm sorry, dear, but like, I have to make sure this is getting done. And it does, it sucks. And I don't think that a lot of people realize that the ones that are like you, Jeff, and myself and Hunter, that like, we make this our life. We dedicate every waking moment to making sure that our freight, our customers, our carriers, things are going smoothly. Freight is moving. It's being picked up on time. It's being delivered on time. No OS&D issues. You know, none of this fraud stuff going on. It's a lot that goes into just even moving the simplest load. And if you're not dedicated to this industry, regardless of what position you're in, whether you're a carrier, a broker, a shipper, freight forwarder, whatever, then you know you're going to ultimately fail because this is a 24/7. I say 363 because your ass better not bother me on Thanksgiving and you better not bother me on Christmas. But it is a 24/7, 363 a year job, and you miss a lot. And Jeff, I'll say I'm glad that you have an amazing wife, or it sounds like you have an amazing wife. My wife and I have been together since high school. What is it, 2023? So we're on 22 years, and she's been with me through everything, you know, holding down the home front when I was a driver, when I was working like you, when you were with Ford, you know, I was working 14-hour days at the Home Depot distribution center, man. You know, I'd get off, just come home and go to sleep, wake up and leave to go to work. Like that's all I did, man.
That's all that's exactly what I did to a T. It's unbelievable. And so you'll appreciate this. I'm pretty structured and I have thick skin, and I'm like Alexa Gente, like the demanding one in a good way. I married a major general's daughter. So, you know, you have to be on very good terms. You know what I'm saying? And it's highly structured.
I understand.
So, you know, and I work for Snyder National. I mean, a majority of the people, great people that work for that company are ex-military. You know, they're highly structured. They're highly disciplined. That's why they do such a great job. I mean, I call a spade a spade. You know, if there's a company out there that knocks it out and kills it all the time, I can speak for Snyder National as an ex-employee and say they're a damn good company. They are, and I just didn't want to move up to Green Bay when an opportunity came because my kid was younger, you know, and she was like maybe 6 or 7 at the time, and I just didn't want to uproot her. You know, a lot of guys out there, you know, will uproot their family, and my wife moved 13 times in 10 years. She lived all over the world, you know, and she could acclimate like that, but we didn't want our daughter to be the same way. So, you know, those are the tough kind of decisions that you have to make. And sometimes it kind of puts a hitch in your giddy up in your career, but those are the type of things that you really need to do. You know, when you bring that balance and you try to do what's right. And sometimes it's wrong. Not all rights are rights.
I think I'm glad you brought that up, man. I had a similar experience twice, man. You know, I had some opportunities to move somewhere else and make a really good salary, work for some really good companies. But my my boys, we were here, man. They had already built their little lives and, you know, were in sports and had all their friends. And my wife had her job that she loved at the time. And it just didn't make sense to move. And, you know, and it halted and slowed my career, you know, but it also put me on a different trajectory, you know, and it's put me where I am personally or to where I am presently. So, you know, I mean, as the saying goes, for every door that closes, another one opens or someone cracks a window. You know what I mean?
Well, that's true. Another door opens, but make sure it's the door you want to put your foot through. It
I
may
will.
not be the right fit. It may not be, listen, if it's a $250,000 job and you're like, oh yeah, baby, it might be the worst $250,000 job that you ever took and you wish you never went through that door.
I will.
You got to think about that. You got to think about me once in a while. You really need to take a me break. I failed to do that over the years. I used to have high blood pressure because I used to be a real pain in the ass. And I was not a liked person because I was highly disciplined, and I used to really rip into people when things weren't met. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to give a shit anymore, but in a good way. In a good way. I'm not going to take it to my heart. I'm going to be more empathetic. I'm going to be more trusting with my people. I'm not going to be a dictator. I'm not going to be a follower. I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to lead my people by excellent example, and I'm going to let them take the reins, and I'm going to help them to build their own career. And that's when I was with Snyder, and we did MAP situations, which was what was it called? It was called Management Assessment Program. So you would take an associate that you felt was managerial material, and you would train, mentor, coach, discipline, and put them in position A to move up the ranks. And when I look at the people, that's a legacy of mine. All the people that I did, and I see them in directors and VPs and stuff like that. That makes me feel real good. When I see them and they're like, I am now promoted in that, and I'm like, holy shit, that's awesome. It's just like that. There's no other better feeling, man, when the people that and the people that work for you, if you ask them, would you work for that guy again? Oh, hell yeah. That makes you feel really good, man. That makes you feel really good.
I'm glad that you took the conversation in that direction. And I want to pull up this comment again. This is my boss, Kyle Graves. And to bounce off what you said about making sure that it's the right door you want to go through, I literally was just about to give a shout out to Kyle. Man, I taught myself brokering through a necessity from a previous job. And then I kind of fell into it and was helping someone trying to open a brokerage and learn at the same time. That fell through. And this gentleman right here, Kyle Graves, man, he took you're silly, bro. You KG, I love you, man. You were my brother from another mother. But Kyle, man, he took a chance on me. I had a shitty book of business, but Kyle apparently saw something in me, and I went from doing a little over $500,000 in business my first year, and like I said, last year, which was my year 2.5, I did almost $2 million, and just last month, I had my best month in business. My profit margins have went from like 7% to 12%. This man, Kyle, is my mentor. He teaches me everything. And if I wouldn't have walked through that door with him and him been so polite to open the door for me and say, hey, come on in. I'm willing to teach you. I want to show you how this is done properly, and I want you to grow. And I'll finish with the thing that I love most about working at my company and working for Kyle is what you said at the end about yourself, Jeff. He is one of those people that, although he doesn't say it, he measures his own success in the success of the others around him that he teaches and he guides and he leads and he nurtures. And I really wouldn't. Basically, I wouldn't be where I am right now in this business without Kyle. It was the right door. Maybe could I be somewhere else making more money as a transportation supervisor or a terminal manager or a director of logistics? Yes. But this guy, I can literally call up and say, hey, Kyle, I don't want to fucking come to work today. All my freight is covered. The tracking team has visibility on everything. And he's like, all right, dude, that's cool. As long as you're making me money, I'm happy. No, I'm just so I'm glad he said, man, I wish you did half the stuff you said. Dude, we are so going to have.
Hey, be happy that tomorrow's Saturday. Come Monday, you're going to be sitting in his office. You're going to say, you know that shit you said on Friday night?
Man, we have the greatest, Jeff. I will say this is the greatest company I've ever worked for. Kyle has put together the most amazing team. All of our sales staff here in America, our people that work in the Philippines, like it's amazing here, man. We all do nothing but talk shit, and yeah, man. So it's a great thing. It really does matter the people that you attach yourself to, and that you take cues from and are willing to learn from, because there are really very few people in this industry that I feel truly have the knowledge and the ability to teach others to be successful and do it not for just personal gain, but as we talked about in the beginning, Jeff, is what good is it to have knowledge and wisdom if you're not sharing it with other people?
That's it. And you know, I have a lot of advice, but some of the best advice that I could offer anybody out there is this: listen more, talk less.
That's my problem.
That's the end of the game right there. You want to learn? Shut up. Listen to what's being said. Suck it up. Be a sponge. Absorb that shit. Wait until that person's finished, then ask questions. No interruptions. Just be that sponge, man. Be that sponge every day.
And so I'm about to have to jump off here. Jeff, you don't know, but my wife works for a cruise line, and she has to get up early because they work on Eastern time. But
hey, you know what? We went way past our time frame.
No,
an hour.
No. On Fridays, 2 hours is the average, Jeff. Like that's the greatness of the Friday show, bro.
Well, you know what? I hope that I brought some value. I really do.
You did.
I'd love to come back and spend some more time and, you know, rehash even more stuff. You know, I'm here to answer some questions. And again, it's only my opinion. It's not God's will. It's just opinions. That's it.
Well, hey, I don't know how you guys up there are in Yankee land, but down here in the South, we love sayings. And another one of my favorite sayings is opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and they all stink. But before we end it, Dr. Drizzy, would you like to answer Clay's question, and then we'll do our commercial break, and we will sign off for the week?
Yeah, absolutely, Clay. Like anything else in logistics, man, know your areas that you're good at. Know the commodities that you know how to sell. Check websites like Import Yeti or TradeMo. Check out the HS codes or HCS codes, harmonized tariff schedules, and don't go beyond your fucking realm of the world. If you don't have it, learn about it, make the phone calls, quote some shit, and just learn. You know, I do international, and it's taking me a second to learn, but you know what the beautiful thing about it is? If I can bring something from China to Canada, most likely I can find the contacts, get the knowledge where I can also do warehousing, the drayage, the rail, the OTR portion. I know how to do customs. I'm not a customs broker, but, you know, ask me about a 7512 or a PTT. Know your niche. Just do it. That's all I can say. Pick up the phones. Find out where the ports are. If they're not there, ask the people where they're shipping it to.
That's it.
Boom. There you go. Knowledge bomb by Dr. Drizzy.
Dr. Drizzy.
That's it, Dr. Drizzy. Hey, funny enough, the Pedro potato actually comes from my boss, Kyle. Like, I don't know why, but I think it's so damn funny. So, but before we sign off, we're going to go ahead and roll some more beautiful bean footage. Freight management systems. They have an incredible transportation management system. If you guys are interested, their info is rolling across the bottom of the screen. And here's a quick commercial break from them. Boom, there you go. Again, freight management systems. They have a credible TMS, been in business for almost 3 decades. Incredible customer service. If you're part of my Facebook page, you can actually go see some of the posts from them that from their customer reviews. Some people have been with them for almost 25 years. And before we sign off, we are going to give a final shout out to our sister from another mister, Jessica Lopez out of Houston, Texas. Love my fellow Texan. She does carrier management. Will take care of you 1 to 500 truck operations. She deals with everything from helping you manage your expenses to job placement in the oil and frac industry. She also has a program from Legal Shield that helps you protect your CDL in case you get tickets or have court appearances for stuff that happens out there on the road. They send an attorney in and fight everything, and usually either get it dismissed or get you to where you only pay court costs. And I'm saying that as someone who used to have a plan that was exactly like that. So before we end the show, we'll go ahead and roll some beautiful bean footage for Jessica. And there you have it. Jessica's information scrolling at the bottom of the screen there. Hit her up if you're interested in taking your operation as a carrier to the next level. And before we sign off, Jeff, I just want to say again, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, guys. I appreciate it. It was great. I'll definitely do it again when I'm asked.
Yes, and same goes for us, man. You know, if there's ever a place on your little diddly for us to come on and talk shop and chop it up, you know, please let us know.
Sure.
In the Logistics Lounge, we're all about just spreading information and being informative and touching on different things in the industry from different people's perspectives, and putting as much invigorating, informative, educational stuff out there to help everybody in every sector of the industry be better at what they do, so we can try to make logistics a little bit better every single day.
There you go.
Hunter, do you have anything you want to lead off with before we roll the final credits?
Hail Southern and Miami Dolphins #1.
Oh my God, get that bullshit. Bye.